the Ken Ba Obama is a Joshua of our time. He's built that remarkable track record of achievement, individual achievement. Numa we baby, we share the discipline as a man, what he has stood for as a man. Then a brabo, the BBA, and she say, oh, Yibia. The panel with the Zuzobia, oh, Candy, and Fata. Name one day, and Bezobia kind of say, Nankopon, he doesn't call the qualified, he rather qualifies the called. Tiasimniu, God doesn't call the qualified. God rather qualifies the called. In this obisusu, and I can't there, Mamma come feed you so. We are not saying Ken is spotless. Ken we nipa. Mizanko may meet me free, but in the Maya, Debbie, and about him, dear Maya. I better make a Sakama coming in the boy Jimmy Sona question. But in terms of Mejuma, was a me, now coupon whom bride, Asuma meeting me the Sumni Pania de Adasa. In Kazaken, Nipa, Sebium, Fonsonia de Fonso, Fonso, Mr. Modatown, Fonso, Ken Ho, Fonso, Dr. Baumia de Evo. But O'Shea, ye seen to Enina a cheer. Na enkomono ye say the obeti magic to me ama NPP in the year 2028. Nobody stands taller than Ira Kennedy Japan. And then I'll go use against him. Say American handle economy. There be I mean some joke 2028 on the debate of the economy. Say NDC perform one. Baumia has no place. And if you pay from 1 to 1:4 to 1:17. We buy in a space of 7 months. Of course, the factors can be interrogated. We don't give credit to them. Me, I'm an MPP true, you know, on the year. But you see, at the end of the day, the evidence available is on the face of the pink sheet. And the ordinary Ghanaian, assembly now become an idea. I told him on a day. Assuming say or the 18, how do you then come to convince him? Say, 17 was better than the 8, or you are coming to do a doctor of economics. Doctor of economics, at the end of the day, the economy broke down. Economy in the year. Yes. So, now, now you are not owing up to it. You've now turned into a new field, which is a friend say, IT digitalization. How then do you become a specialized and perfect in your area? How will people trust you? Network I call crowd digitalization. Yes. As one automatic area. Now people don't score you higher marks there. So how then will people trust you for a new area that you are bringing? And the 2028, if the debate is on the economy, we have no place to stand. We need to get to be a practical economists. And you must say why they will be workers said why they wafa. These are practical economy. Then this one can you pinpoint A, B, C, D with him? You can't. And these are. So 2028, like I keep repeating, is about courage. If you're not no boy, a black man off and now you go to Ghana 72 hours or 24 hours or Jachuma. A black man off with the after 4 years, I also go for a day, a big jam. So we need Obi or who could draw bit media. We are not going to fight in 2028, but we are also not going to show weakness. One would see a big trap, and we need somebody like Kennedy Japan to take us to cross the pattern line. Now,
now a bit too, meaning Sanka, ya second chance there, sorry. Yeah, no, you're a don't chebia and an sorry, no. Into second chance there, and one will be adding a nickel. Now, you Yura or Sechemen Sabusu at Yesim, ya watch a party abaquasem, ya no credit, me no credit who encomo. Now, second chance, no, a bit so as a momo can say, Ubia, what me a torn over 16 years, or the nako, and ye, but a bia umano, second chance, Nanka San de Nukubi, and Kebe second chance, no. No,
I mean, you see, bottom line is say, NPP no ya catch for party. And the all come asema, Abribian is an opportunity for people to interrogate what's my day. And NPP go out any party will be a Timmy Chen. And a meeting, we name one of them come about other than this year. On more primacy, the Ayente Trika.
A party, the two net.
What names of the woman at the neighbor? By Eddie, say a kind of clutch who said the contest between Baumianakan.
Exactly.
And this, but what they are no, so there was no competition. But in our case, there's competition because in NPP we allow that. NPP will be on fan
because they are doing a
party. And now no, dear be a phrase said, dear be a chamun a coba say, a quembia so no, with some baku for no be a day, it didn't. And the is all we know was a graduate who decayed here. Hey, as a woman say, inherent try to say, they have to enjoy everybody's apology when they are or break you. Hey, what break you is a show over my council. So, and this is how the NPP there can we give opportunity for participation. First of all, no crane, we are not saying say people are not entitled to second chances. Me call election when me crew was antachem. Me call my performance was not good. I don't think it would be fair for anybody to say because my performance was not, we should not be unfair to Dr. Baumia. No, nobody's saying that. I remember when I went to the north, and the guy said, is it because Dr. Baumia not 19 motivation? And I'm saying, no, not nobody pay. And even check the history of our elections here to general election. Indeed, look at his performance. 84.2% of the votes came from the southern part of the country.
Okay.
Do you hear that even that typically, unfortunately, even at the northern part, he rather reduced in vote by 16% compared to 2020 votes.
Wow.
And at the southern part, it was also very dangerous. Southern part, general performance compared to Akufo-Addo 2020, will reduce by 33% votes. And at the general votes difference, will reduce by 30%. And what is the performance in this? Now let's even move the conversation beyond the figures and go to history. Okay. I mean for history in guide up. In MPP, opinion ID card ne share enya akwanya e more call prime minister obedi o man and ko general election. Your friend Professor Dubois. One of them cover party near day and buy. Professor Dubois, the first ever presidential race. These are the factors that were affecting him. Sir Brennan transitioning from the military regime.
Okay.
Rollins yes what Chimamia Bruebo Bonechi. Yes, we one a you can Democrats and Republicans is non pay. Now, the foreign powers and the press a day. And so just in the enjoy the end, I'm on the ever but the crime was really the mede. And in this case, despite that suppressive and hostile environment, Professor Dubois hit me pulling 1.2 million votes. Till 1.2 million votes. At the time, the percentage was 30.29%. And Rollins in 58.4. But some stress on the opponent side, but they are history. Now, vote difference and then what President Rollins and the Professor Dubois in 1992 was 1.1 million.
Okay.
The votes difference between President Rollins and President Professor Dubois was 1.1 million votes in 1992. It was almost 2 billion. 96. The party for them say, Prof. 1.2 million votes difference. 1.2 na unyaya now votes difference they move what to 1.1. 1.1 there. Yenhwe ye dwen ho. Na President Kufuor e de performance here campaign so about betima here. Ayade. No mkoto about President Kufuor. Na so wa una okofa party by but enye de okofa party by there asem. Enye professor asem we need power because you see your professors may be good with the ideas, but no matter how nice and lucrative the ideas are, if you don't have power, the ideas will be obsolete and so be another. So, another entity the President Kufuor by President Kufuor Koyano, on also a 2.83 million votes, representing 39.67%. In the President Kufuor, the Professor Dubois, he votes from 30% the coin 39%. It was about 9% account. Into the 9% the count. On the votes difference, President Rollins at the 18 years 1.2 million. So the first one, Dubois 1.1, President Kufuor 1.2. Even though no voice difference, in terms of the percentage, no the BI
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. In the graph now, in MPP near graph no. Kwana ekosro wa 30 or the 39 tie dru be ha ye hwe ya Akufo-Addo so be inti President Kufuor nya 39 no den obi a wafa free from e de kosro no o ka chen se o man nya de enkobio and then penifo se amfo na e de e che ne nto aso ko papa no bo modern afa o to ano so obi abehun se ene ye de ne kwanimu ente sa and the President Kufuor ko na second time no ye de o ko win in the 2000 ye de ye ba power no be 7 8 years we 7 8 years the good thing is na President Akufo-Addo nya kwanya aserve na mamum. But you see, context is very important. The highest officer na President Akufo-Addo nya kwanya aserve President Akufo-Addo administration was the Minister of State. or the 2 ministers. Okay, but as Attorney General and Foreign Affairs.
Yes.
No, I'm a vice president of that. And this was in a space of what 8 years. Patrol emphasis should be on this. This was in a space of the 8 years. Foreign Affairs is not a ministry of my project. Because Sabra in a black one abe say na black one reduce standard no nya black one abe say na okra medium okra onya dey o ma diplomacy language you nya kwanya kan ba o de bi ada nam. Secondly, Attorney General ene ayi ba kwa madam mveze ayi ni wan we o appraise na yanko the papa ya o try our public ene o media e dey o media ene on na ba Attorney General for kwa say that nya dey entomonga Dominic Ayeni obeto omonka na mo court nti onye position bi otimi nya kwan e project ni ho bia but in 2008 for the first time in the history of NPP we won in the first round. And to be catch us MPP will be winning the first round, that is not true. Akufo-Addo won in his first round. Yes. Even though he didn't win the overall. The percentage. Yes. Akufo-Addo got 4.15 million votes. Me 2 million match we say. We 2 million match we say 4.15 million votes. Now representing 49.13%. And a president Akufo-Addo. 49.13%.
Better from 39.
Better from 39 to 49. Yeah. If I wear the catches on to others. And only JEM is 4.105 million votes. Nanim Akufo-Addo kwade difference votes na president Akufo-Addo in the first and 1.2 million. Akufo-Addo tried who the about 100,000.
Yes, I better so.
Already yes. Votes difference was 100,000 votes until say call a second round now Okolusu was a time 23,000 votes or yeah, the Okolusi. Jibes Akufo-Addo kwade no they above from 1.2 million to 100,000. Is the expected president Dr. Bawumia so 400,000 no kra am fa bi ante so any kwan so man
even especially wo hwe baby a obenya baby obedi ni positions obedi die na wo de no kra to nchen ya sabre no na media no enye bebre se ende kra na okasa ekọ baby a ene okasa edru Ghana baby
ma men kasa mo nchiro o mo se o yeah time media na party ni hwan in 2008 na party ni hwan hin sisi we as BBAC ni a friend global economic recession Google 2008 oko America mo economy kra dey crash certain governments all over the world lost one more time kra dey for say factories and companies were declaring bankruptcy am I affected the developing economies like us ours yes Mekako for cry say he is the worst leader this country has ever had na some for catch on prosperity with judges Mukai Sabra to him so one na tell you ni ade obi wi na skanyina na ya hunkwa hikurazi and there's that they cried they say because the COVID in Tinkofo be hu ye mobo at that time there was no COVID it was a man-made artificial global recession
time obe free omo ko contest no omo primary no ka say omo 2 days say akronfo dun so it is that time they akronfo
why but with him even in spite of that, the President Akufo-Addo was able to put this performance 49.13 from 39 to 49. Now back to 2024 with President former Vice President Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia ba no na expect say kono because of the history of ascension no the trend no kono so betim dia dey akosoro. Oba no contrary to what we all expected no. President Akufo-Addo votes na newo 6.7 million no one over obenya 4.65% into obete 49.13% no so about 41.61%. When you dey nationally it shows that nationally Dr. Bawumia eti Akufo-Addo votes no nyina na performance no by 30%. What about the southern regions so by 33%. Even in terms of north rather compared to 2020 or so by a whooping 16%. And we share votes difference now. The votes difference was 1.67 million votes difference. And to run it up, you are looking at about 1.7 million votes difference. Now let's compare. Let's just small mathematics. Professor Dubois here, the gap was what 1.1. President Akufo, the gap was what 1.2. In the case of Akufo-Addo rather gave the gap of 100,000 because Akufo-Addo will do. So how come say it drew the other about 1.67%? So which means that if you draw the graph, it's rather up, down. Rather they up, down. Now, as I'm the say, oh, you see, no man affected you know. No correct, no man affected any be. You may look at a lot of perspective. I don't want to be a better in time along the way. But these are things that, if you take for instance economy, can you tell me, say, you as the head of the economic management team, nobody may you were free, sir, economic debating. If all good things you lay claim to it, why can't we also be responsible? Say, no, maybe so I take money. You can also lay claim to it. Say, no, so the account. Mami, any random factor you think affected us? Won't mean Nipana no year number 2 in your day. In film. Esa, that will amount to throwing Akufo-Addo under the carpet.
If it is say Okojina a takradia or kase or kaise by timer ye babe twaba few days to elections na ya took full or ya mwana manye. And many penny be din common or catch me say Dr. Baumia enim say I mean ye were automatic adjustment system our Ghana as ye tomb a year now automatically now reflecting our Ghana. Yeah, and since I never when you been a son work.
Sir, and come on, I'm say minimum motion trying to run away from responsibility. That problem more the M started with Takra. It didn't start from Takra. But we have not been bold to talk about it. Is the UPSA lecture. One more year lecture, almost the bold solutions. So that was where the problem started from. You see, that lecture sought to make Baumia own the good things in the party, but normal any biano. Yes, but you see, when you do that, it also shows that then party that you know maybe any day. It's say Becca say we are levy, may ye through her. We may ye through her, we may ye through betting tax, may ye through her when he buy a minimum, you two petrol minimum. Let's also look at another alternative. Of course, said Dr. Epenny, but let's also look at a different form of communication. Mr. Uncle, no catch us. Oh, sa no ma wo kanyina no ampa de nim said de ahohwe ene yawde kakra de aba. But the beer COVID see about best what the Ghana Education Service alone about 350,000 teachers. One me adwuma for be afe. You twa mo kaso obi anya adwuma da. A no be atifie for be afia. Obi anko adwuma so twa neka. Fa nsu a change free. Fa hospital say change ye fa nkania. Nti de ahoche kakra ye de ebre ye. Nya mkwa wiase nyina. Nti ampa mo asoma mo kasa ahocha ban betting tax ye levy ni ade aba na ampa me gyetum say ahocha ye de aba. Nemum I take responsibility for it as a leader. Misaji tumu susu se mo asema mo ka no so ye de chodo me nemo yadwe. Nemum sese no ensese na de baaye no eso aye de awo eso abanfa so sese no hwe the economic trajectory enoma ye de efefe enoma ye yi nti nyankopon pa the next subsequent year moto aboma me aye de ebesesa we are sure say Ghana for ntiase
ka ye simple
Ghana for ntiase
say do baby krobi sa se me yes adwuma we nya me ba den na me
okay president Kofo o share boss president Kofo share boss o be so o ba enko yi no zi Ghana for say wo tie kira a different form so wa go prama na dey eso timo fanya ncheme. That's how Ghanaians are. They just want to see you to be honest, to respect them, to understand their feelings, and then you appeal to them and they talk to you. That's how we dey on to say. But I say, oh, you leave video kwa ka omantia omo nyini menka ho no omo yede omo nyini assembly na yede no. So on I mean in ending with a second chance conversation, one thing you also have to note and they say 2020 is going to be tough for 2028 is going to be tough for us. Let me give you a scenario and in 2020 President Mahama called elections with President Akufo-Addo. So okay, no truly President Akufo-Addo with 500 no truly Akufo-Addo with 1 million votes difference. Because 2016 Akufo-Addo share with 1 million votes. Yes. President Mahama called elections no. Adia President Mahama you olusu election ne pa by easy man in the space of 72 hours to declare. It was on election when they olusu won ko win. Ya be kan biase asem you so no more comfortable lead. No ko lead with 148 seats members of parliament seats enter yeah 148 there's one near press conference anybody was up 137 yes now for 1 million what chemu to 500,000 experience no day no I don't sit here to praise him.
Because he was protecting
his
people, making sure
that is a trademark of every great leader, that in spite of one kasa, you also look at other people. And that is how trees are. Because the beauty in planting trees is even when in your absence it can provide shades for the rest of the people. 40 years, 40 years that was President Mahamad's foresight. To Jinemua selection of 148, 148. And that's a hallmark of a warrior. Now compared to 2024 years dear. In 2024, the EC had given a space of 72 hours. Under less than 24 hours, we had made an early concession. Of course, people have argued, say, oh yes, I said the bay, assume Jebe, ever moment. 92 BC, and to me 24 hours, I'll be out of Secondly, rather, no, people have also argued, say, Okochi Mutu Mukrante and Ma, NDC for could draw. Say ni almost so yede police centers at twice years so okay a deputy mandatoryship here ya kaya
anodom
patebuama anodom pre Charles Force in your Tema Central here okay say ni KTV oh what I say now compare we were 137 from 137 to 88
Osha Patrick Yabuama de Pradia ne contender no crab betina TV so publicly
I
say we dim kunima we for congratulating
yes
because no him say adwuma kof so form
exactly
ombeji
yes so you see so if you tell me say oh you did that for the peace of the country people may not believe people may think say oh it be so how here just to look good said the because all the oji asem here dey etum no chene bi no because one dey asomdwe hin na sadly here dey e kobi people may also think that but what was the repercussion on the party on the general party offense as a corporate entity what was the impact on us and then we are having 88 in the whole out of 276 constituencies sadly when out of 276 constituencies we in the presidential election we lost in 199 constituencies 199 constituencies say there are 6 regions in Ghana only 4 parliamentary reps. There are 4 regions NPP doesn't have any parliamentary rep. What are you talking about? What are we talking about? 4 regions we don't have 1 parliamentary rep. What I say what we rep boy? Huh? What are we rep boy? I say now Ghana. What I say? Nti asema make cano asema emuye dupa. What I say? Nti when we go for such a performance, how do you then say say nipa ko enya dey and that time will be at the time. But we are only saying say if it is about power there, if for the amount for no day if one now radio ma one more kase en fa na all
right
and then can send this for some form of favor in Asante region ya to about Okuma since 92 Asante region to NPP voter region to NDC o ka tell me say tribally sensitive since 92 o ka tell me say tribally sensitive why will you go into a contest with your weak foot forward strategy. Why will you go into a contest? Oh, boxing ya oboy. Oh, ni fan na obo kesi ya dey. Ese. O si we dey. Wa ko share quote, wa ko share Zuma na ese. We person dey benkum na dey. Eko. Emfa. Benkum ye dey prepare. Na o hwe na wa ya, ambo dey fan na na packet. Yes, I know. Enti first of all, even as a matter of strategy, we need to check and align. And this is one of the leading candidates are people from the south.
Yes,
and this are
meeting senior say Haruna Idrusu, but no, they say you almost saw here.
So that is on matters of strategy. Secondly, we are looking at the credibility of the candidate. Ken has been in politics from 92 till now. Has there been any instance of corruption against him? Not even one. Galam say what is so he has the track record so to me challenging his own party. Our problem do not need so much of complex ideas to solve it. What we need to solve our problems is a common sense approach. Let's say problem is on the
I want to answer say on to me BBC enko
na BBC for motor about huh? Gaddafi okay English. What you say you in the country here bro abroad for the be in the country. One abroad for the be in the country. Yeah, Putin. Now they are putting share Trump nearly 2 days. The closing mark what they brought back over be news. Yeah. Putin is so on table for. On say the mind.
Or can Russia sir.
On me so say the mind. a Jim ya a North Korea house or yes, I'm or cover for that. Or is in my our problems go beyond language. Ghana hangasan, you know the table. So in the day, into a bin teaching to Onimyanza, Obin table of Onimyanza, Obin Tiang and to Onimyanza. One language, let us say. Language is just about proficiency and training. Living language in our crown, it is busy at the SNB. So I don't think we should benchmark a presidency on the sort of one more argument back on Massa can say be a international community and IMF can't mean Cambofun to come in vision. Obiobeka Sabia is a very lazy leader that should not be tolerated around our presidency. A presupposes this any according and I say, oh, here I want to let him be free more than a debut IMF. On your not so Bobera. And you know what? Now you say Ghana the but Ken is telling you this. Ken is saying same. Was say our real strong edda agriculture anyone might be a transformation. Exactly. There is a link between socio-economic transformation and agriculture. There is a link between socio-economic transformation and tourism. There is a link between socio-economic transformation and decentralization. Also about the first 100 days. Ministry say Ghana one can in our tourism